Okay. Sometimes to make it a little more fun while you're working, it's fun to put some nice graphics in there to kind of inspire you as you work on your project. So I decided to go ahead and create a background. And you can use Photoshop and go File, and you can export it as a PNG, and then save it all the way into the path of your assets folder. And so you have your image in here. Now, I made mine at the dimensions of a ratio of 16 units wide by 9 units tall, because that's like a typical 16 by 9 ratio is very typical of a lot of screen sizes, especially on phones. And so I made it actually 1600 pixels wide, 900 tall. You can experiment with different sizes. And so I'm going to go ahead and right click over here, and I'm going to create a plane. Now, this is going to be called the background. Okay. And whoops, I spelled background. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Background. Okay. And pretty simple here. Now we're going to have to adjust some things. Let's just set all this to zeros and see where that puts it. And sometimes it's fun to go ahead and click from 2D to 3D, and you'll see that this plane, as you scroll around, this plane, I'm holding Alt to kind of scroll and look, is kind of facing upwards. In a plane, you can only see one face of it. So I know through experience that I have to rotate it on this, wrong axis, on the x-axis by -90 degrees to be able to see it. Okay, and you could move it up and down. And now what we want to do is just take our image and drag it over here into the inspector, and it applies that image to it. Now you're going to notice that we're going to at some point have to change the lighting. You could turn the light off if you want, and we could play with that later. But for the background image, you'll see that these images are casting, these objects are casting a shadow on it. So we could actually go up into the lighting here and uncheck receive shadows so we don't get any shadows. I'm going to take this tool and just stretch it out to the size I want. You could obviously use scale over here and control it that way if you prefer. But we're just going to set this background up the way you want. Let me hit back to 2D. Whoa, and double click. If you double click an object, it kind of zooms to it. And so now we have a background, and we could kind of, the way I'm planning on this is that background's going to be still, and then we're going to have other background objects floating by. So this will be like it's so far in the distance that it doesn't look like it's moving. Or we could move it if we decide that that's what we want. You could stretch this out to make it the size you want, or shrink it. And you really will have to be concerned with screen sizes at some point. There's the 16 by 9 aspect ratio, which is very common for a lot of mobile devices. Okay, so go ahead and have fun today. Take your time working in Photoshop to create a nice background. I didn't spend any time showing you how to create a background, but go ahead and do that. And then we could go ahead and play with the lighting. You could change the lighting color. You could actually turn the lighting off if you dare to do that, and we could play around with lighting in another tutorial. Okay, so go ahead and have fun setting up your background. Have fun.